Countryside Part 1, and we're going to focus on present perfect tense. Now let's see what you're going to learn in this meeting. First, you're going to learn about city versus countryside. What is city and what is countryside? Second, you're going to learn present perfect tense, the form, how to make the sentence using this tense. And finally, you're going to learn about the functions of present perfect tense. Now let's get started. What is city and what is countryside? Well, city is a large town like Jakarta, Tokyo, Seoul, and etc. Countryside is land, not in towns, cities, or industrial area that is either used for farming or left on its natural condition. Now let's see what things that we can find in most big cities. The first one, of course, the very tall building. It is called skyscraper. We have skyscraper, but we also have slum. Yes, it's the dirtiest area in town and it is inhabited by many poor people. Next, factories. And because there is factory, of course, there is pollution. In many big cities, we can also see traffic jam. And it usually happens in the rush hour where many people go to work. We can also have subway as the main mode of transportation. And we can also have commuter. It's the people who travel regularly between home and work. We can also have sidewalk or pavement. And then suburb and nightlife. What about in the countryside? Of course, it's very different from the cities. There is no pollution in the countryside because there are a lot of trees. The air is very fresh and the water is very clean. And of course, here in the countryside, we can have farm, field, forest, lake, mountain, river, and pond. Very beautiful. Now let me ask you a question. Where do you live? Do you live in a city or in a countryside? And how long have you lived there? Well, I live in Purwokerto. And I have lived in Purwokerto for about 10 years. Now let's see this sentence. I have lived in Purwokerto for about 10 years. We have this structure. Have followed by lived. So this is what we call as present perfect tense. I know that you have many questions about present perfect tense. What is this? What is it for? And how to make the sentence using this tense? Okay, let's talk about this one by one. We'll talk about the form or the pattern or the formula to make present perfect tense. If you want to make a sentence using present perfect tense, you use have or has followed by past participle. Remember the pronunciation. Have, has. And when do we use have or has? I have, you have, we have, they have. He has, she has, it has. And what is past participle? Remember that past participle is verb number 3. Verb 1 is infinitive. Verb 2 is past simple. And verb 3 is past participle. Let's see the examples. Infinitive, cook. Past simple, cooked. Past participle, cooked. Infinitive, eat. Past simple, ate. Past participle, eaten. Now let's move on to the grammatical form. Affirmative or positive sentence. They have visited Jakarta. Ben has visited Jakarta. So the pattern is subject, have or has, past participle. Negative sentence. Just add not after have or has. They have not visited Jakarta. Ben has not visited Jakarta. Pattern, subject, have or has not, past participle. Last question. Have they visited Jakarta? Has Ben visited Jakarta? Put have or has in the beginning of the sentence. Have or has, and then subject and past participle. Remember, in a conversation, you usually contract the words. That means you make the words shorter. Okay, now let's see the contraction in present perfect tense. I have becomes I've. You have, you've. We have, we've. They have, they've. He has, his. She has, she's. It has, its. For the negative sentence, it is quite different. So you contract have not or has not. Let's make it shorter. Have not, haven't. Has not, hasn't. After you know how to make a sentence using present perfect tense, now let's continue to the functions of this tense. What is actually the function of present perfect tense? In what kind of condition do we use this tense? This is the first function of present perfect tense. We use present perfect tense to talk about actions started in the past and continuing to the present. So remember, there is a connection with the present. Let's see the example. It is something happened in the past. In 2010, I moved to Jakarta. Now let's talk about the present. Now it is 2022. Now I still live in Jakarta. So there is a connection from the past to the present. I have lived in Jakarta for 12 years. Saya sudah tinggal di Jakarta selama 12 tahun. Next example. Jono and I got married. It happened in the past, in the year of 2012. What about now? What about the present in 2022? Now we are still together. So, how long have we been together? It has been 10 years. So we can say we have been together for 10 years. Kami sudah bersama-sama selama 10 tahun. So there was activity started in the past, but that activity is still continuing to the present. That's the first function. The second function of present perfect tense is to talk about actions happening in unspecified time. Unspecified means not clear, not noun. For example, somebody has eaten my soup. Seseorang sudah memakan sop saya. But when? Yesterday? 2 days ago? 2 hours ago? Not noun, not specified. Next example. I have watched Spider-Man several times. Several times. Oke, beberapa kali. Saya sudah menonton Spider-Man beberapa kali. When? How many times? Not clear, not noun. So, when the activity happening in unspecified or not noun or unclear time, you can use present perfect tense. Let's continue to the third function. Present perfect tense can also be used to talk about an action that has just completed or finished. Aktivitas yang baru saja selesai. And when we talk about something that has just finished, you can still see the impact or the results of that activity. Let's see the examples. See the impact. I am very full. My plate is now empty. Piringnya sudah kosong dan saya sangat kenyang. So, what have you just done? Apa yang baru saja kau lakukan? Oh, I have just eaten. Saya baru saja makan. Next, see the impacts. He smells nice, he looks fresh, and his hair is still wet. So, what has he done? He has just taken a bath. Dia baru saja mandi. Because let's see the impact. Dia masih wangi, dia terlihat fresh, dan rambutnya masih basah. You can still see the results of that activity. So, you use present perfect tense. And please use just to indicate that the action was completed in the very recent past. Jika aktivitas tersebut baru saja dilakukan, baru saja terjadi, kalian bisa menggunakan just. I have just eaten. Saya baru saja makan. He has just taken a bath. Dia baru saja mandi. And this is the last function of present perfect tense. It can be used to talk about experiences that we have or haven't lived. Pengalaman yang pernah atau belum pernah kita lakukan. Let's see the first example. I have ever eaten sushi. Saya sudah pernah makan sushi. So that's the experience that you have lived. Second, Bob has ever traveled by train. Bob sudah pernah melakukan perjalanan dengan menggunakan kereta. What about the experiences that we haven't lived? Sesuatu yang belum pernah kita lakukan. We can say, they have never tried sashimi. Mereka belum pernah mencoba sashimi. Jim has never been alone before. Jim belum pernah sendirian sebelumnya. What about for asking question? Have you ever fallen in love at the first sight? Apakah kamu sudah pernah jatuh cinta pada pandangan pertama? And then, has he ever worked as a secretary before? Apakah dia sudah pernah bekerja sebagai sekretaris sebelumnya? So when we talk about experiences, we can use present perfect tense and use time expression like ever or never. Ever if you have already done that activity. Never if you have not done it before. Ever untuk yang positif, never untuk yang negatif. Well, I guess that's all for today's meeting. I will see you next time. Bye.